It's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Dig some.
Yeah. She's on lady, she's on about the long down. So shit on the marba.
That's it.
What the ling able to lose with Jimba. So shit is on about the la. Nije, long down. Le long to two temper down, let them never tempers. Such a nije. That let them never temper the la, Nabil and the Gabil and the marba. Legend not a gent of a songe. That Tom Nabil and the Lango down, Chiang about the Dagan Jebut and Boss, Marva, the Dagan Jebut and Boss. Chiang de la Lelan Ju, Chiang the Shala to Denji, let you go do them boss, what the Marva, Shala to Denji. Lelan Ju, Chiang Taji, Shala to Denji. Let you go to them about the Garachins at Tangazo on the Marus in the Mara.
And you Gari Kasam Rimshe the Sache?
Saji
Gari Tamagare?
Tamadu Nabi Lelango down, Chiang Chapa, the Dagan David Damba Sonje.
That's out.
Chiang the Chiang Damba La Nije, Lanju Chiang Tang, Shala to Denji Ledge. Long good to do temper. What the Niba the Red War?
Less so.
What the Larichimbo Niba said.
Less so. Okay.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at the great treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment in terms of the outline, we find that this particular section dealing with karma says how to reflect on how to develop faith and conviction in karma and its results. That is the root of all temporary happiness and certain goodness. So this is the major heading of the section. And under that section, we find three categories: how to reflect on karma and its effects in general, how to reflect on karma and its effects with its particulars, and then how to abandon non-virtue and engage in virtue once one has reflected on karma and its effects in general and specifically. So if we look under the section of reflecting on karma and its effects in general, we find two categories: the actual way to reflect in general on karma and its effects, and then the determination of the effects of action. So under the category, the determination of the effects of actions, we find three major headings: black actions and their results, white actions and their results, and a presentation of other classifications of karma. So black actions and their results section, we'll find that there are three categories that we deal with to explain that. The actual paths of black actions, the distinctions of weight of black actions, and then an exposition of effects. So we've gone over the actual paths of black actions, where we went over the the 10 non-virtuous activities and so forth, and then we get to the section which deals with distinctions in weight. I feel like I left a section. Okay, no, I didn't. So then we deal with these distinctions of weight. So when we get to this section, this is on page 227. We have distinctions of weight, and then we find that we have two categories: the weights of the 10 passive non-virtuous actions, and then the criteria for making actions powerful. The criteria that makes an action powerful. So that's where we've read up to in terms of the outline, and then we've got to the criteria for powerful actions. In terms of the various bases and so forth.
Touchibete, Mago Touchibut Kandeja Gurusana, and Tajamar, Shingun Touchawa, Shingun Touchawa, Tenjugun Touchawa, Mabigun Touchawa, and then Sambi good touch was you say G to know what the Diva Mago touch is it. Tocho Judan, go out Tocho to what in the Jagos in the Marba, Shingun Tocho. Tashingun Tocho Timba Shingun Tocho, Tomo Kunchu Sunji, Kunchu Sundan, Lama Jawadan, or taking a law, Yuan Ding Xin is, Yuan Ding Xin and the Kunchu Sundan, Lama Jawa to Sele. Hemba chuchung jeba inaya gawa tao cheba yungure, neba chuchung jeba inaya deba tao cheba yungures. Ta pama la subas, pama dan rawa. Ta pama dan rawa ta, su pama susul pen tukuru ta. Pama dan rayi tene susul pen tuken, ane sisi tra dan, bada dan, garen bada dan, wadane momo yungumar pama dan rawa. Wad sulle, 펜을 조준 제바 이나 디바 치부 용거래 아니 가서 그래 거 제바 이나 거 치부 용거래스 어디 시드 말바 아니 어디 담보도 건조송사 말바 건조송도 라마도 나와도들래 아니 펜을 조준 제바 이나 거왔다 치부다 디바 다 치부가 돼서 용거 주생 가르잖아 연대 신베지 산지군주 추군주 내군주 라마다 라만다와도 그걸로 연대 치버리 연대 신이자 텔레 페네지든 디바지나 치부 용거래 거와인 치부 용거래 주센데 인자마르바 다 파마다 파마단다와 어때 되솔래 네 페네 추요 제바 디바 치부 용거래 네 gwaajene gwaachebe jusen karisina pendu ushin besh pama susul pendu ushin karin shibro da wadu jusen gwaadin samar tomi toro kwan chu saad che an nyeba de ganjun saad mebe somba shansen gini ten shen gunta jo son zende son lezwan
the gonchu sundan lamadan laman jawa this som yunten
다 건조 라마드 자와데 연대신으로 파마라 수부터서 펜두시
So we learned previously that actions have various degrees of completion. So how does an action become at its greatest degree or level? So there are various conditions and so forth that make that occur. So if we look now move to page 231. So when we look at, we went through the weights of the powerful actions and so forth, and then we find what makes an action more powerful in terms of the basis and so forth. So it's called in terms of the four aspects. So what are these four aspects? So there are the strength in terms of recipient, the strength in terms of the support, the strength in terms of the objects, and then the strength in terms of the attitude. So this is whenever we engage in an action, if it is a non-virtuous action, even if it is a small non-virtuous action, when we do it in relation to these four categories, it makes even a small non-virtuous action turn into a great amount of misdeed or a great amount of non-virtue. And likewise, if one engages in benefit, in virtue or benefits these bases in some way, then in this first category, then this becomes a small amount of benefit becomes a great amount of merit. So this first category of strength in terms of recipient has a breakdown of 3 points that are made. First, strength in terms of recipient related to the 3 jewels, lamas, and the like, and then our parents. And then the next category deals with the Sangha, or those aspiring to virtue. And then the next category deals with those bodhisattvas that are aspiring to virtue, so the bodhisattva Sangha. So doing actions into relation to these recipients makes those actions, be they virtuous or non-virtuous, much greater than the turn into a much greater. Let me try this. So when we do virtue or non-virtue in relation to these recipients, the virtue or non-virtue becomes much greater than the amount of effort that we put in because of the basis, the strength of the basis of the recipient. So when we look at it, first it says actions directed towards the three jewels, gurus, and those who are like gurus. So this first category is a powerful recipient. Why is it a powerful recipient? It is because of the excellent qualities that these recipients possess. Therefore, they're very powerful bases, and any action done in relation to them becomes magnified. So a small action becomes, a small non-virtue becomes a great misdeed, or a small misdeed becomes a great non-virtue. A small amount of virtue becomes a great amount of virtue. So why? Because these three jewels, gurus and the like, have excellent qualities. The next category we find parents and the like. So and the like stands for sisters, brothers, grandfathers, and so forth. So any of those relations related to our parents. So what is the reason that this specific basis, or this specific category of recipients is powerful? And it's because of the amount of benefit that has been shown to us, or how much they benefit, or how much those recipients are beneficial. So that is why they're a very powerful category in terms of recipients. So if we do non-virtue in relation to the three jewels, gurus, who are those who are like gurus, our parents and the like, if we engage in a small non-virtue or a small misdeed, then it becomes a great amount of non-virtue. If we engage in a small amount of benefit in relation to these recipients, or if we benefit them in some sort of small way, or engage in virtue, in some sort of small virtue in relation to them, then this creates a great amount of virtue. So this is because of the basis that we are doing our actions in relation to. All right. Dixon.
What the Shin Gun touch what the Song to Song Gun Shake do. Then what the Tagandu Kasugura Chabrato Gandu Je Nama Moto Naso Kazan Page Pérez at the Marbe, Gandu water. What the Jebatan Loma, what the Sukangalo, and Chutin Cheba Sana, and Chutin Cheba Sana Pejita, Galunta, Kitsu. The Chuchis Sawa Jet and Gazona, Chutin Cheva Logre. Sawa Jet and Magana Chutin Taba, Galun Chutin Nadaris, Gitu Chutin Nadaris. Sawa Jet and Gayana, Chutin Cheva Sagrava.
Okay.
Don't you give us the Chuchis the language Mare? Sawa Jet and Gay Galun Tan, and then Galon Matan, Gitu what the Zero, Chuti Cheva said, what the Nisago.
Okay.
What the what the Gandu Chabrado Gandu is Gandu ze Matutan, the Page Perlas, what to Galo, Chutin Zawajang is talking, and then Gitutan, Galon Matan, what the Subeja, what the Yabachivares Mont Marva, Tenmar, what the Legadua. That what Gandu and the Chansens, what about the Legadua. What the Kalelu
So then when we get to this next section that deals with the Sangha, or those aspiring to virtue, we start to speak about the ordained. So here it says, in particular, if those who do not care about their ethical discipline were to use material of the community, merely a leaf, flower, or a piece of fruit, they would be reborn as a living being in a great hell. So here this point is that, what is this referring to? This isn't referring to, when we say those who do not care about their ethical discipline, this specific word is referring to the root four, the four root vows of killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and lying. So these four root vows that are what it's referring to. So someone who is acting the opposite, or in a way that's contradictory to these vows, or this ethical behavior, then he or she would categorically fall under those who do not care about ethical discipline. So when we look at the fully ordained monk and nun vow, we look at the novice monk and nun vow, we find that they both have these root 4 at the beginning. So this is what this specific section is speaking of, not referring to any among the other sets of vows that those bases would have. So here it's saying that if we merely a leaf, flower, a piece of fruit. So here, if we were to use, if a person who does not care about their ethical discipline were to use something dedicated to the Sangha, then, and what are some examples of things here? She could use a flower or a piece of fruit, and Rinpoche said so, for instance, a peach or a pear that was offered and then misappropriated or misused, then this would be a grade of non-virtue. So that section deals with that, and then we get into the next part that deals with the bodhisattva that is a Sangha member, or a bodhisattva that aspires to virtue. Okay?
Genduji nane jang shangchu senbi kanza ne magi shi to tochi de so what shangchu senba de me le do what shangchu senba debi to jibi shaji do le na gaji train shuju sentient taji chora shuju sentient taji zhong le ga da ka ba ina de ba chibro a
Lessa.
ala shuju sentient taji zhong ka ba ina de ba chibro a
Lessa.
tele ne shangchu senba train jaji shuba ina de ba te chigres
Lessa.
what ne ma le do
Lessa.
what ne tenji to ba do what shangchu senba le do te kale lu jana
Nipa.
ne ko de do
Less so. So then when we get to the section, strength in terms of recipient, about the bodhisattva that's aspiring to virtue, we find that it says, within the community, persons who are bodhisattvas are extremely powerful recipients in terms of activities that are either virtuous or non-virtuous. So then we have a quote from the Seal of Engaging in Developing the Power of Faith Sutra. And it says that it's an immeasurably greater sin for someone to become angry and turn his or her back on a bodhisattva saying, I will not look upon this evil person, than for someone who is to become angry and put all living beings in all directions in a gloomy prison, in all directions, 10 directions in a gloomy prison. So it would be a great amount of non-virtue if someone were to take all sentient beings in all 10 directions and put them in jail. And here, the point is that it's an even greater amount of non-virtue to look upon a bodhisattva as an evil person, or to say that this is a bad person or an evil person. Decent.
So this
is what is stated about strength in terms of recipient, and then we move on to the next point. I forgot one thing. Strength in terms of support. So if we go over these again and again, then we start to really understand what they mean. We're on 233 now, strength in terms of support. Less so.
Domba de teme de nije an chuche ji debasan tat ane glon da glon ma da what to go charge ge kent marbe what de debat gorwa chuche ji debasa somba je ane du debasa de ngasu ane deba no chichu chubon da am go chu dres what de leg do to kale la rin ma yo do
The Tama, the Mingare? There you're right. There you're right.
Chula, Tembi, Deba Chula Tembi Deba Chisu Sergeant. What the Chula Tembi Deba Chisu.
Okay, decent. So the next section, strength in terms of support, we find 4 points that are made. first, the point that's made is the support of knowledge. So there will be supports there that are listed. So those who are knowledgeable, so those who are scholars, create smaller misdeeds than those who are not scholars. So this is the first point that's made, strength in terms of support. So having your actions supported by knowledge makes them less. The next point that we find is dealing with those who have vows and those who do not have vows. So the strength of the support of a vow. So if one has the vow, how that supports and makes that action stronger. So this is the next section. So the next deals with those who are disrobed. And here specifically, Rinpoche said, referring to those who act contradictory to those 4 root virtues. So when we say this disrobed, or the who aren't moved, I guess we use this word disrobed. We're literally talking about those who have acted in a way contradictory to those 4 root virtues. And then the next section deals with the greatest basis. So what is the worst support? What is the worst kinds of sins that one can engage in? There's probably a better technical term for it, but it gets into that what among the 10 non-virtues, and then compares them to the non-virtue of abandoning the Dharma, and shows how the non-virtue of abandoning the Dharma is the greatest of sins. Compared, so the 10 non-virtues compared to abandoning the Dharma, the abandoning the Dharma is much greater. So that's the 4th section that will be dealt with.
What the Tambu the Kiba the Lumbi Kibi Diba the Yangare, Lumbi Diba the Chivas, what the Kale, Lani the Katu Lujana, So
the first section, in the strength in terms of support section, deals with those who are scholars and those who are not scholars, those who are knowledgeable and those who are not knowledgeable, and it states that those who are those who are knowledgeable or those who are scholars create a lighter or less non-virtue than those who are not knowledgeable or who are not scholars. So then you can start with that point and just have the major outline heading, and then you can read what it states in the Lamrim Chenmo. It's not very difficult to understand, and then support that main statement by the information in the text.
Yamendaka Tanda de lo de Lesenson Yuares. 2 Dunsna, Pichi Chata du Tanda Bogmanroa, 2 Dunji. Then 2 Sonsana, 3 Chata Bogmanroa, the Kanjuno Yuarta, and the Lelos, Shenji Baba Tuna, and the Kangel Legia than Mendo. What the Ligi Boson Yuson.
The Sumba, the Leo Dunba, Leo Sumba, then the Sumba Gare.
Somba Telele, Telele said the city animaji means T Papa to Jane, Gigi Hag, Chidron, Dule, and what did Momu Tiamandwa, Haji could Zeno Motongo, Shenji Papa, what the
Papa, Sena, Papa,
Skin.
Skin.
Telele skin.
Oh, okay.
Telele, animal skin.
Animal skin.
What the Nazi Yabe, Gigi Tanta Jude, Telele Lola.
And then the Garshene, the Dunda.
Zoro, that don't know what the Sarata. And then 2 soon all the Chini Sanji Majabe, Tazum maybe Kebalan, Mondu, yes. Chini Sanji Majabe, and then Tazum maybe Kebala, Hang, Chudo to Mondu, the blessed Jubium Wooders, Kebala, the Jubium Wooders. Yana Nobo Debatens, Yana Nobo Debat Nembo Yobaina, Keba Menaya, Debat Nembo Yobaina, what Telejuna Mondunes, Hotel Hag, Chilo Jubium Wooders.
Okay.
A 2 GB 2 Gawa, Telejana rings. 다 개발은 이미 도저 뭐진데 가네 있는 가네 도바 무사등에 들어오대 뭐좀 주고 요구만 해버렸다. 주인이 생각하면 잡에 개발하네 뭐로니. 야나로 대바된 틀라주나 뭐로니. 또지 죄비 도교와 틀라자는 뭐로 생스다. what
So we find so when we're dealing with this point about the sins or the non-virtues of the knowledgeable versus those who lack knowledge, we find references in the Yamantaka Tantras in the 7th chapter, the 3rd chapter, and then a text Rinpoche is saying is called the animal skin. We'll have to look further into this. This isn't a category I know a lot about. So he said it's the Yamantaka text, 7th chapter, 3rd chapter, and then a smaller text called the animal skin, which has a summary of all of the points in the Yamantaka Tantras. So what it's stated in this particular text, what's stated in these texts and in the 3rd chapter text specifically is that those who are great scholars and do not have doubt and have great faith will make very quick, will have very quick success in the tantric path. So it says that those who are scholars and have faith and do not have the doubts, then they'll have quick success in the tantric path. The next part says those who are not scholars or not as scholastic, but have great faith, will, by the blessings of this tantrayana, be able to quickly achieve their aims because of the support of the power of the tantrayana. But those, whether scholarly or not, and specifically it's speaking those scholars, scholarly or not, and specifically those scholars who engage in doubts and a lot of debate and related to this, so it's Rinpoche just used the word doubts, kind of a debate that arise in relation to the tantrayana. Those types of beings who lack this faith because of this doubt are a very long way from the goals of tantrayana. So this point is made that in the Yamantaka Tantra, and it supports this with a little more information added onto it.
사제지가 있는 그 한국어로 슈도 어때 보다 그 점에 공부하래. 난들 다루지 않아 슈론도 있어.
Okay.
그때자다.
공한고 샤스. 사제고.
사제인들 처부부사요로.
Okay.
동구로 그 한국.
추산.
한국도자.
네, 추산 안 드라포.
한국도자.
Okay.
근데 어때 주들 때루지 않아 슈론도 있어. 되네 텔레가 저기 잡아먹어요로. Okay, yeah.
Oh, they go Lobsang. Shachatupa go? Lobsang. Okay. So there's then the Jawa Gare Rinpoche.
What the could the number in a could debate them with
Less so. So there's a story in the temple in Lhasa where there's a Buddha statue, Buddha Shachatupa Go, Buddha Shakyamuni statue. And there's a story of, Rinpoche said, I'm not sure if this person was not smart or not, but like someone who is in, maybe like a churl, someone who's not so smart, if you will, was in the temple. And there was an altar in front of the Buddha, and he took his shoes off, and put the shoes on the altar. The kon chupa bu saladasa, the lempa. Kon chupa. Okay, so he then he had to go outside. So he took his shoes off, and he put the shoes on top of the altar. And he had the faith in this statue, and he said, please, he saw this statue as a real being. So he believed that this statue was Shakyamuni. So he took his shoes off and put them on the altar, and he said, could you please watch my shoes while I leave? And went outside. And then the attendants who were cleaning up the temple came in and saw the shoes on the altar and said, this is very bad, we have to take them away. So when the attendant started to pick up the shoe and take it away, the statue said, please don't take those, I'm watching them for this gentleman. So here this is a story of how faith makes a difference. So if you have faith, then very quick blessings happen. You come, my brother. And the Lumbale, Papa Shayo, Chayo, couldn't the jewels you are. Pig flesh, okay. Then what the Jew George Atisha? Madam, Buddha. Buddha said that you. Okay. Cheaper. The understood now. And look what the Jew, Lassie Jew, the you come to my parole. Su Shachatupi go the Lake of Chekan. Oh, the Hongo. Okay. Near Bayou. Oh, good the lad, what the Lumbal Chantua waters, Papa Shasa waters. Okay. Or could Jules you waters. Jud and Yamakupai, Chunol, those papers. What the So then the Angu you can Shachitupa go Ketanson? Then they make Lumba Perona, Pasha, Chang Yuri, Con Shachitupa go alas. Okay. Then the Shachatuba Payul Pivot. Then Chu. Water drink. Shachitupa gold. Okay. So then the story goes that the man who left the shoes there then asked Buddha Shakyamuni, he said, since you watch my shoes, I would like to invite you so he's having this conversation, Rinpoche said, believing that this is a real Shakyamuni as this is going on, not seeing a statue, and said, I would like to invite you to where I'm from. I have pig meat, and I have alcohol. So please come. I'd like to invite you to my dwelling. So Buddha Shakyamuni's statue actually then went to his place where he lived, and it says that he drank was witnessed drinking, actually the statue, or this Shakyamuni was witnessed actually drinking what looked like water, drinking water. So if you have a strong amount of faith, then the blessings come very quickly. The point of this. And then Magajo Saba in the Debachun race. What the Mayudua. That does which it is at that on there. That Galunga Masebata, Gasu Masebata, Galuma Masebata, Gang Masebata, Chimbe, Doma maybe Masebatu, Debachun is at that. Doma maybe to Maseba in Magajo Saba in the Jujun is at that. Don't then the Jeba in the Chiva is at that. So here we're speaking so we've gone over this first section that deals with those who are scholars and those who are not scholars. The next section deals with those who have the presence of a vow versus those who do not have the presence of the vow. So those who have the presence of the vow, for instance, the fully ordained monks and nuns, the novice monks and nuns, the probationary nuns, the lay vows for male and female, or the 24-hour vows. So when we speak of vows, and this is what we're referring to, the support of a vow does what? So if one engages in a virtue with a vow, then the virtue becomes greater. So if it has a vow to do something and engages in that virtue, the virtue becomes greater. If one engages in a misdeed related to that vow, the non-virtue becomes greater. because there is this presence of a commitment, this presence of a vow. But if one does not have the presence of a vow, and so for instance, we look at the, Rinpoche used the example of killing a human. If any among those categories of vow holders I just mentioned kill a human, the non-virtue is much greater than someone who is not a vow holder and kills a human. So here this is showing how the vow supports the action and makes it much greater, whether it's virtuous or non-virtuous.
베이제나 신이 받을도 추디저 차주빈도 레사진도와 와다 쳔바지게 주주도 대바 먹어 주사도 이나 사비 대바 쳐버렸다 사발레 안에 추디 안에 가서 글론다 그추다 글론마다 와도 자와자던 게 추디 제작에 어떤 근일 표잡이 잘라도 배제제바 인 대바들 책을 했었다.
So the third category deals with those who do not observe ethical discipline. And so what is the meaning of this? So when we're speaking of ordained monks and nuns and other vow holders, we have those 4 root vows. As a note, they're in the householder vows as well. So we have these 4 root vows. So one who is not observing ethical discipline is one who is acting contradictory to those vows. So when we're speaking of a disrobe, we're speaking of someone who's acting against those 4: killing, lying, stealing, sexual misconduct. So this is what these root 4 are referring to. Someone who is acting in a way against these 4 creates more non-virtue than someone who doesn't. So that was number 3, and that is supported by a sutra on overcoming faulty ethical discipline. Number 4 deals with what is the greatest non-virtue, or the heaviest non-virtue. So then we find the precious Dron Tompa's points made here. It says, one of the sayings of the precious teacher Dron Tompa states that compared to the sins that are related to the teaching, the sins of the 10 non-virtues are insignificant. This appears to be the case. The chubong ile, the yure.
Chula tembi. So, Dumbarambachi, Sune, Chula tembi, Debi Kanas, Magawacho, Debatu yin sons, Inchil Gatino.
The Chudang Jawa, the Migewa Sa Chudang Jawa, then the Shera Chambodu. Chubun le Drabodu, yene, the Chipa Yomari NGK, Chubun le dan the Detsikakre.
Deban, what is Madasonsadu?
The Migewa Kanga, the Chudan Jawa, Chubun le in. Okay. Then the Chubun le Kona.
Chula Tempis and Chula Tempi Diva. Chula Tempi Diva Chiriti Kana.
Okay.
And the Magojo to do yes.
So here, this is, Rinpoche was asking about the English and what it states about this, if it says the abandoning the Dharma. So it's really related to the teaching. So something that has, so the translation here is good. So this non-virtue done in relation to the teaching is greater than any among the 10 non-virtues. So that's what's stated here. Giksun.
What that tenjugun touchwa the jejane, what in the santan, Kalisantan Janalani Kuru, Kalelu, Nan Kalekon Samarbe.
So then when we look at this section of strength in terms of support, and then we go over those 4 points that are within that, then we'll really start to understand what this section means, if we look at by way of these 4 sections within one section.
Ta Shingugun touchwa, Tenjugun touchwa, need Chintarwa, Ta Somba Mobigun touchwa to Marbe. Somba Mobigune, Sombi Mobigun touch Kusul inch and the ten woodwa.
235, we're going to start on strength in terms of objects.
Mobiguna touch what the Mobiguna touch what the Gudwa. Mobiguna touch was Ta Somba Mobiguna touch was Sijela Jimbatama. Ta Sijela Jimbatama ina and Jakala, Chala, and the Jimata Euro. And Chu Shin, Chugimata Euro, Sanzig Jimata, Chugimata Euro, and the Sanjil Chubambia, what is a good leading with it? Sijela Jimbatala, Chuji Jimbatans, Sijela Jimbatala, Chuji Jimbatan, Sanzig Jimatin on Kare, Tachagresana, Chuji Jimata Chagres, and the Sanjil Chubambi, what is a Tachagres. Sijela Jimbaton la, Chuji Jimbatan, and Sanji Chobala, Drubi Chobane, and the Sanzingi, Drubi Chobanes, Drubi Choba, Sanjil Choba, Drubi Chobare, Sijel Chuji Jimbatan at the time, Sanjil Drubi Chobanibade, Chuta Chishures, and Sijela Chobanes, Sanzingi Jimbatan. Sanjingi Jimbatan Chobale, Chipudu, Pudu Joandesa, and the Sijel Chuji Jimbatan, Sanjil Chobambiage, Drubi Chobanite, and the Sijel Sanjingi Jimbatan, Jalate Ayore, Kalak Jimbatan Ayore, the Sanjingi Jimbatan, and Chobajenda Mobuyota, Chobajenda Lewote, Chobat Pavares, Chades, Chobale, Chipudu Juantes, Pudujuantes, Pudujuante, Sanjil Chubi Chobatan, Sijela Chuji Jimbatan, Pudujuante, Sijela Sanjil Jimbate, Telechungres, and the Chobajenda Telechungres. Sijela Chuji Jimbatan, Sanjil Chubi Chobanete, Chobanan Touch Judes, what the lady come there?
Drupi Chupa, Nyanlen Chupa, Drupi Chupa.
Drubi Chubas.
The Nyanlen.
That's Angela Chuba, the Drubi Chuba.
Okay, so strength in terms of object.
Kajin Drubi, Chubinia, Drubi Chubas. That Drubi Chubas, the Sanjil Chuba, the Shiragi Abbot, Sona Chubas, and the Song Yoro, the Sumba Najin, Chuba Bibaina, Sanjil Sumba Najin, Drubaro, the Drubi Chubas, Drubi Chubas. Sanjil Chubala, Drubi Chuba, Sanjil Chuji Jimbanibate, Sanjil Sanjing Jimatan Le, Chuba Jenda, Puale, Gavato Chigres, Chawashunde. They train a Jean Shibajaus, they train a Jenda Galo, Double Shewures.
So among the giving of gifts to living beings, the gift of the teaching is vastly superior to the gift of material things. So when we look at generosity, when we look at giving gifts, so there are many different things that we can make as an offering. We can offer food, we can offer drink, we can offer various other items and cars, we can offer these would fall into the category of material things, but then there is also the offering of the Dharma. And the offering of the Dharma is a much, much greater offering than the offering of material things. And it says among the offerings to the Buddhas, the offering of practice is vastly superior to the offering of material things. Following these examples, understand the others. So when we make offering we could offer our practice to the Buddhas, or we could also just offer items. So there are many types of offerings.
This one. What about the Imbare? What the Ngobigun Tocho, what the Insarwa, Shingun Tochoa, Tenjugun Tochoa, Tene Ngobigun Tocho Sunje, Tajibat Sambigun Tocho, Marva, and the Jiba Sambigun Tochoa, and the Ribichi Pumbazadua, Jiba Sambigun Tochoa Tereta, Sambigun Tochoa Tapijini, Sambigun Tochoa Nire. Need what the Sambi going to touch about Tak on the Deba Mago to the Junimbo, and Tak on the Deba Mago, Junimbo Sadia Jumar. Every time, every day, Sadia Deba to so, touch your inside there. June Sheda Deba Chures. Then the charge not the Moti, none, contra shoot Abicun along and the Saja Deba. Deba to touch over this, Kani would do that. But some people going to touch over the control. Contrary.
The demo, the do some, the control.
Some people going to touch over Tombo Rimichi Pombolis, who's an Angadan Woodua.
Less so. Okay, okay, Rasar. So we're on page 235 again. We're moving on to strength in terms of attitude. In this section of the attitude, we find 2 points that are made. First, something that is an attitude for a long time, that is long-lasting, that is going on all the time, every time. Rinpoche said every day, long-lasting. And then the next category is that if there is anger involved, then this makes it a great amount of non-virtue. So it says that hatred or anger is very, very powerful. So this is the second section that we'll deal with under this category. Okay, Selbuldu.
What that done my Sabigun touch about what this and what Sentient Tanji Susune and the Sanji Chuden Sentient Tanji Susu get in the Sanji Chuden Rija and what the Tabarij what the Chobabubaina, the Goachabare, Tele and Shanchu Samba, what the Mutu to the Teleta Chigris, Samba Shanchu saying Yuazan, what the touching was Sambi going to touch what the Redua, the Kalelu, no, the Nosibu and water.
And then Ewa, the Jurimbo, Ewa.
That's it, Taji Suzuki. Sanji Chuden, Rijabra,
less so.
And every day is a war, the Chibabida, Goachibro.
Okay.
Then Sanji or the Shantu Sambaji, Samba Shantu Sensimba, Chuden Matuju to Baina, go at the touch of this.
Okay.
Sambi Guna. Shantu Samba, the Samba Shantu Sen, teach and touch what they want is.
So here, this category of doing something for a long time, and then it shows, compares it to the attitude of having the mind that aspires to enlightenment. So that's the first category. So the Heap of Jewels Sutra mentions all of the living beings in the universe of 3 billion world systems, each making a stupa of the Buddha as large as Mount Meru, and each paying reverence to it in all their actions for 10 million years. It says that far greater than the merit from that is the merit in a bodhisattva's throwing just a single flower towards a stupa with an attitude that is imbued with the desire to attain omniscience. So here it's showing how the attitude of bodhicitta makes it much stronger than even doing something for a very, very long time. And here it says 10 million eons. So it's saying something done for 10 million eons doesn't compare to doing something with bodhicitta. So that's the pith of the meaning. So we'll take a short break. We'll be back. And so we'll do.
Oh, yeah, that what the maybe going to touch what the 나도 그는 사실 어디 니도와 니가 다스 니바 데레샤 니슈라야 녀모 버슈 라보다 자리와 또쳐와 티 나네 장스 다 니슈스는 뢰지 디바 가기 디바 좀 어디 니바 데레 니바 니슈스 베이제나 올레 팅 지바든도 니슈양 녀모 비상바 수 잡았다 준人王 都吃了，在那个南南讲，控制心都到去了，我的宣教工是这样多，我的你不得了。
So this second category deals with anger or hatred. So I need to read down though further. So I'm going to just read on from where I was. Understand that in the same manner, there are variations in the amount of merit you accumulate from the perspective of differences in attitudes, such as focusing on superior or inferior goals, or focusing on yours or others' interests. The amount varies as well from the perspective of the strength or weakness of your attitude, whether it is brief or long-lasting, and so on. So with regard to wrongdoing, afflicted attitudes that are strong and long-lasting have greater strength. And among these, hatred is very powerful. So here it's stating that the anger or hatred is a very powerful addition to an action. And then we find a quote from the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life by Shantideva.
Deshi chola su, leshi kanyi tada kun, leshi kanyi tada, de kun jang, kontu jikin jungpa shis, tu songa jang daya marba. Jida de, tada wate, kyaba tongda sabi gaza tu ngalo wate, jinda deshi, jimba tanga tanga, deshi chobam beya la su wate ngalo, wate, kontu jikin jungda gres. What the Shunul does not. Oma Jubal Kanshi Yasin on La Trubaye, Jindan Trian Kiwakabaja, Sabakiji can do things. Oma Jubal Kabaja, Sabi Debatan, Shanju Samuel Trina, Shunju, Jindan Tishola Su, Kabatun Sabi Grand Jungle Zondua. What that did Shunju, what the Kabatun Sabakiza Shansen, Miami Shansen Trina. Kabatun Sabakazan Jonas. No Oma Jubi Kaba Jasabakazan Jones said, Shanshu Samba Solambe, Jolampa La Truzuna, Kaba Jasabdi, Deban Jonas, what the Chubachu do what the Lord.
Okay. So it says in the Guide to the Engaging in the Bodhisattva Deeds, all the good behavior, generosity, offering, to the Sagatas and the like, amassed for 1,000 eons, is destroyed by a single moment of hatred. So here we find this quote from the Bodhichara Avatara, and then we find a similar quote in Chandrakirti's Entrance to the Middle Way, where it states that this moment of anger towards this moment of hatred destroys virtue amassed for 100 eons, or 100 eons. So what's the difference in the points made here? So that's there's an exact quote from the Middle Way. I didn't exact quote it, but the point is that it states that a moment of anger creates 100 eons. You destroy, in a moment of anger, you destroy 100 eons of negativity, according to the Entrance to the Middle Way. So what's the difference? So in this case, in the Bodhichara Avatara, this moment of anger is speaking of one having a moment of anger. So someone who is not, someone who is not a bodhisattva, having anger for a moment towards someone who is a bodhisattva, destroys the virtue amassed for 1,000 eons. So this is when we get into debate how this is explained. So this particular quote is referring to non-bodhisattva that gets angry at a bodhisattva. This destroys 1,000 eons. The quote from Chandrakirti is referring to a bodhisattva who is on the path of preparation, getting mad at a bodhisattva who is on, me try that again. A bodhisattva who is on the path of accumulation, getting mad at a bodhisattva who is on the path of preparation. So then we find that by doing so, it negates 100 eons of negativity. So this is the distinction that's made. One is the bodhisattva, non-bodhisattva getting angry at a bodhisattva, that's 1,000 eons. And the next is the bodhisattva on the path of accumulation becoming angry at the bodhisattva on the path of preparation, negates 100 eons. So this is the difference in meaning, these two sources.
What that danger going to touch what son that that's one but the dog and devil said, Marva, the dog and devil was what the letter. So was such a gender
choose. Okay.
Somewhat the dog and devil was.
Ale, somebody Yoruba. Okay.
What tell him there? What the Shenju London, thing that the German thing and the Jabby launch down to her. Thing and the Jabole Chila Chichang, Nurse Shenana, Tella Chutin, Tubi Chaminus, our Tan Kalilu and Cesare. Shenjule Kanji Tendi, Jesse Gendalas, Jesse Gendala Kate, Nase, Chiba Shiba Ne, Nase Chibi Taji. Keba ne nyawa ne bas. Tendo lo wa chönju le changju symbol ngase cheba ina. Ngase chebi keji ki thanda nya be od nyawa le negres od sondus. Od kalelo na od od khatu tre do.
Sumba Ming?
Den sumba
Ming?
Sumba da da gde be bala sun de re.
Depo demba.
Sumba da da gde be bala sun les. De be bala sun re do. Soon on that Namiji Deva, Jutuji Deva, Davin Deva Sonje, then the children which choose Wolji Leon, Saji Son your son. That was the that Deva Mago Jotan, Gawaju Deva Karkariuares. Devasana, Deva Mago Deva Kariuares. Deva Kariuasana, Deva de la Namiji Devo, Jutuji Devo. Dabin de son yongres nami de bote ane deba mogo jo chembu joge nami de nyawa marbe ni joge da chungu ju tonro bote nami de yongres ane gawa chembu joge la ane ni joge lamai ane chungu ju ngasu meljes bote le ma dro so kale yongora.
So then it says, anger moreover towards spiritual companions and even more towards conquerors' children is very weighty. The King of Concentration Sutra. When people have malice towards each other, learning and ethical discipline cannot protect them from its fruition. Concentration does not protect them, nor can living in solitude. Generosity does not protect them, nor does offering to the Buddhas. And then it says, engaging in the Bodhisattva's deeds. Were you to harbor harmful thoughts towards such a conqueror's child, a benefactor, you would remain in hell for eons as numerous as those thoughts. Thus the sage has said. So then we get into the section of result and so forth. And then when we ask what are the various results that we achieve through our actions, we find that there are three categories: fruitional results, causally concordant results, and environmental results. So these are the three categories of results. And then when we look at our actions and then how the degrees produce them, as far as in terms of the result, so when we're speaking of results, we say the greatest level of non-virtue gives rise to a hell realm rebirth. The medium level of non-virtue gives rise to a hungry ghost, and a small level of non-virtue gives rise to an animal. So we find these points that are made. So these are other results, just as these three kinds of results: fruitional, causally concordant, and environmental.
ane deba magawa chu din chu de tonro chung chu de yedal chis what the do son chas what sachu bindu
Okay.
sachu bindu tamal chinsa son
So Chupidu. Okay.
yeah
So when it comes, where is the source? So it says that all of the 10 virtuous deeds and all of the 10 non-virtuous deeds have small, medium, and great degrees of completion. And then we have these points that are made that the greatest degree gives rise. So when we look at virtue, the greatest degree giving rise to God, medium degree demigod, small degree human. Then we look at non-virtue, great degree hell realm, medium degree hungry ghost, and a small degree animal. So what's the source for that specific model? We find it in Asanga's levels of yogic deeds. So these are in the 5 within the collected works of Asanga, and we find this point that is made that the fruitions happen in this way. But then when we look at a sutra reference, we find that there is a difference in the lower realms. So we find that the medium level of non-virtue gives rise to the animal realm, and a small amount of non-virtue gives rise to the hungry ghost. So we find this differing opinion according to versus the Asanga's text and the sutra teaching.
So now
we're getting into different results, different ways to look at result. 236 we're going to now. An exposition of the effects.
Namiji Devasta, Magawa Chuga Namiji Dev, Dabin Dev, Judin Sun, Magawa Chuga Namiji Devote, Lelan Jubarere, Jeto Sun, Chendin Chonson, Chonson La Dembe, Son Sos, Deba Magawa Chemacho, Dincho, Choncho, Kandas Jabarisna, and the Shechawa. Decha Shichi Deba Mago Chemu Jutre, Decha Din Juge Deba Magosa Sajabad Din Jutre, Chungu Juge Osajabade, Chungu Tanaji, Kondrutan, Tamuka Chibaris, and Deba Magoa Chebutan Din Chungu Jadon Doting, she won't do it in and Yabangero. Kondru Shichibugune, Deba Magoja Sajabad, Deba Chujure, Tin Jabud Yawane. Dinge Saja Deva Mago Jute, Dine, Tinde Vedare, and the Chung what Saja Batege Tundres, what this one to do there. Tembe, son Monza. Tella Suju, Chembo Jubere, Sujala Subateva Mago, Chembo Namiji with Nyawaris. Din Jubere, Namiji Vedal General, Chungu Jubere, and the Tondujawa, Sayumoji Sons, Sayumoji de Lode, remember Sayumoji Sons, Sayumoji Sondos. That's how you been doing, said Deredua. Such you been doing, Chundi and Rebo, do to Sons, such you been doing. Deba Mago and Dean Jude Tondro.
Less so.
And Chumu Jude Dachis, Sonjas, to Kabajo, Jeremy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here, we're under an exposition of the effects, fruitional effects. Each of the 10 passive action depends upon a basis of the 3 mental poisons that occur in 3 strengths, small, medium, and great. Therefore, there are 3 fruitional effects for each action. In the level of yogic deeds, it says that through each of the great forms of the 10 non-virtues, killing and so forth, you will be born in the house. Through each of the 10 medium forms, you will be reborn as a hungry ghost, and through each of the 10 small forms, you will be reborn as an animal. The Sutra on the 10 levels, however, speaks of the effects for the small and medium forms in reverse. So here, it speaks of action depends on a basis of the 3 mental poisons. that occur in their strength. So here it's speaking of a great amount. When we speak of mental poisons, we're speaking of attachment, hatred, and delusion. So we'll use the example of attachment. So there are small, medium, and great levels of attachment. The greatest level of attachment gives rise to the greatest level of negativity, a medium level to a medium negativity, and a small level to a small negativity. And then we find what those negativities are, where in the levels of yogic deeds, and then the alternative point that's made in the sutra on the levels. So Rinpoche said, here it is right here, where the Asanga's text is cited to show how a great amount of non-virtue gives rise to a hell, a medium amount gives rise to a hungry ghost, and a small form gives rise to rebirth as an animal. And then we find in the sutra on the 10 levels that there's a small difference in the results of the last two non-virtues, those non-virtues that are small and medium. So the hungry ghosts are then put into the small, and then the animals are put into the medium. So the order is different in those. And then J. Rinpoche doesn't take a stance, he just leaves it at that.
수주를 가와데 sheba jutu marba sheba jutu 어떤 자고 단든 마 제부 용도와 너는 제부 용도와 돼 jutu 제부내서 그저 인자한 것도 되나.
So we're on 236 again. We're moving on to causally concordant effects and their varying forms.
jutu 제부내서 디바 먹어 주되게 ane wate naming debo ane niwala so wate zoroa ta jutyeng debo kanderesna jutyeng debo ne ngandu ne marje jans ngasul ta ne marje ba yina ya ane wate jutyeng debo yongores remba tar sujebe chetwa sujebe jutyeng debo dele ane niwala ngasul shene marje ba yina ya tsatu tong yung deyate sujebi judyung rebores ta nga zo tsatu tong ji shen nga zo nyangan mo me jegaro wote sujebi judyung rebore go da sujebi judyung rebore tsatu wa de yores ta de ma jin ba le koma gubi judyung rebore longje ji pombas Longje pomba ne longje pombas ne wode longje job chano pol imbarwa longje pombas choma ma somba joas loyinge juding debetelene susi jeme do wode chamo mebare ma somba joa dans ta juno jungi juding debetele koa moas no kashi khatan de mo yo do jar mo she de wo de dung judung rebere do wa ko mo dans ane dung chama chami judung rebere zawo da yewa ane trobo de ka ngende ya wo de chami gi judung rebere zawo da yewa da dung chama chezuro 치두게 주둥 저들 일도 뭐유 자투바다스 아주 그참 도자든 고대야지 자투바다스 나지 근데부터 제지 치면에 바다스 가지 주둥 저들은 그자 정부시바 있는 신 키면은 그 기절 찾아줘 말스 мене 바스 나지 말바 다 이제나세는 로타 손들래 차당 모송 shecho wosa 차당 모송 shecho 나생기 주둥 저버들래 되사 shecho 와 아니 콘도기 네 주둥이 저부터 시당시에 저와 로다게 주둥이 저부터라 너 너무 셔죠 어떤 소용 갈래는 올라다 주둥이 저
So now this next category is causally concordant. So the fruitional effects. The fruitional effects of non-virtuous actions are the lower realms of cyclic existence. The greatest degree of non-virtue giving rise to the fruitional effect of the hell realm rebirth. So we went over those points. So what does causally concordant results refer to? Causally concordant results or fruitions have two categories. First, experiential, and then causally concordant experiential effects and causally concordant behavioral effects. So we break those down into the two categories. So if we look at the act of killing, the causally concordant behavioral effect is that one likes killing. One has an affinity for killing. The causally concordant experiential effect is that one's life is shortened. So one has a short lifespan. So these are these two categories of experiential and behavioral that relate to these causally concordant fruition. So it says, even when you are reborn from the miserable realms as a human, you still experience the effects of non-virtuous actions as follows. So a causally concordant effect of killing is a short lifetime. So here, this is an experiential effect. One engages in killing, one's life is short. As an effect of stealing, it's a lack of resources. So one won't one won't be rich. One won't have many things. From sexual misconduct, an unruly spouse. So a not committed spouse. From lying comes much slander. So people say bad things about you as a result of lying. From divisive speech, loss of friendships. So here we are separated from our friends, and this is a result of previous divisive speech. From offensive speech, hearing unpleasant words. So hearing bad things, hearing things that are not attractive sounds. So this is what unpleasant words are speaking of. From senseless speech or gossip, others not listening to you. So others not paying attention to the things that you're saying. And then from covetous malice and wrong views, respectively predominance of attachment, hostility, and confusion. So we have the result of these three non-virtues of the mind, such as covetousness, causally concordant, is that through covetousness there's a predominance of attachment, malice, a predominance of hostility, and through ignorance or wrong views, rather, there's a predominance of confusion or delusion. So here, these are the causally concordant results.
It is one. Oh, jeta demba below le ante mana de son do seta demba below le deba ba jutun de but kan ja de ni son do se demba below tan sa jubi do le nes demba below sa jubi do de kan ju no yo de ba do le ne re la de ni son de sa deba mo ga jubi re la jutun de ni son do Keder maje jans nami ngason du chene ngason chene merje jan merje na ya ane tsetongwa da nemo das tsetongwa da nemo su jebe jebele ne maje jan tsetongwa na sa me bata na de gen jir bata nemo das ane maje balebe ne jodin jebele longshe chungwa Longshe chung la, longshe yen dans tout le monde, ça. Longshe chuchung je, non longshe de yen dans tout le monde, ça. Ni bat je, son ba Louis, ji jutu que je veux là, comme son ne idée de moron là, ça. Ne code de son code mason ba, code idée mais ba, ichi mais ba. What the need is it? And then Louis Nami Rebutele Chuman Denda Jebatans, then Jimmy Abu Umaris, Denda the Jebatans, Chuman Denda the Jebatans, and Chuma that dream is a dream, and then you think them in the Koa Mojin. Jeje 로와탄스 안데 jen kubataka mo yongore ane jen ge jajin shin lokhe mo yongore
Less so.
로와탄스
Less so.
준 차마 컴문동신 코두도 그걸 개와 차네
Chogo.
문동신
Less so.
네바 danse ane yid 준 차마 인사 말베
Less so.
이드모 다투신 준 차마 인사베
Vid
차마
C2. C2 the ducha.
치두레도와
Yiptmo.
이드모 다투신 타미 치두조 어디니 말에
Less so.
치두기 말에 되네 조아 dansa 네 치면전베 다 치면전바 네 치좀여비 치좀여시망에비 네 뽑아줘서 나치에서 말 저좀 치도
Less so.
나치 어딘서와
Less so.
나치지에서 너나 치신 추면시 받아서 너바 치신 알레다 되셔도 공도도 나 예지 송된 말에 네 나세지
Less
네 주든지들보다 너바 치신 추면시 받니 용어레스 다 나세 뇌생들 네 매페바 세와 펜바모로 봐 이제 뇌생 날로다게 젠라 너바셰바 제제 너바셰바 셰반조와다 조와다 소와트바드르바 조와다 다가내신 유주전도 조 어들로다게 주더니 말에 손소스 라마 코만나 맞제나야 수조라서 받다라 가와조아 셰바네 주든지데부터 하마나 셰바 주든이 말에 라마 코만나 아네 라마 코만나지 내손 신네 데바 먹어 저기 데브나미지 내가 손도 제는 내가 손 신네 맞잖아요 수조라서 받다라 가바 차요 가바 좋아데 셰바 주든 데베 손도스 셰바 주든 데보 데보다 당 가만가서 니니 제바 손송아 what 누가 주든 손도스 데베 제도 what 받래 갈레 제루나 고카브스랑도 고슨 이제 그거
So next, it says the chapter of the truth speaker and the sutra on the 10 levels both say that each of the non-virtuous actions has two results. They say that even if you are born a human still, so it leads in the same way the previous one does, but it'll give two results. As a result of killing, you would have a short lifespan and many illnesses. So as a result of stealing, you would have few resources, and the resources you have would be shared with others, so you wouldn't have your own resources. As a result of sexual misconduct, your helpers would be disorderly or untrustworthy, and that you'll have a contentious spouse, not a committed spouse. As a result of lying, others would slander you a great deal, and they would deceive you. So they would say bad things about your character and then lie in some way, deceive you. As a result of divisive speech, your helpers would not get along and would misbehave. As a result of offensive speech, you would hear unpleasant and quarrelsome speech. As a result of senseless speech or gossip, your words would not be respected or understandable, and your competence would not be unshakable. As a result of covetousness, you would have great attachment and no contentment. As a result of malice, you would seek the unbeneficial or not seek the beneficial, and you would harm others or others would harm you. As a result of wrong view, you would have bad views and would be deceitful. The former gurus assert that liking to kill and so on, even once you have been born a human, are causally concordant behavioral effects, and the above-mentioned effects are causally concordant experiential effects. So we find previously it says a causally concordant effect of killing is a short lifetime. This would be an experiential effect. An example of that. Diksam. So if we go through this and slowly think about it, then this is real meditation. So we don't have to have any doubt that if we're thinking about this, all of this is virtue, that when we're thinking about it. Slowly read it. So if we go over these points and then we start to solidify them within our continuum, then in the future, because we've gone over these again and again, we will not forget them. So it's very beneficial if you start to understand this information, then you can go to the Dalai Lama's teachings and so forth, and you'll know so much. You'll know so much. From paying attention to this, from ascertaining this. So these are the fruitional effects and the causally concordant effects. Now we get to the environmental effects. We're on page 237, number C, letter C.
What the later grow, and Dabi Debon, Orgin Debone, Sujabale, Sujabi Dabi Debut Kanaja Wursana, Shinhurjin Jiden, Zatondan, Handan, Debula Suba, Tuchunatan, and then Hembatan, Nobatan, Tuchunatan, the Jukashins. Jukashi Nejebe, sentient, Peshe, Samazeba, Chawanjua dance, Sujabi what the Dandit Teres, Sujabi Dandit Tangasu, Narusu de Sakalumba Yorolumba, and Danangasu Dena, and Middletown, Canal Gashing on Humarba, what the Anasusu Luma Cabalche, and what the double shade Marba, Dabi Devon, Organ Devon. Sujabale, she Hujitens, she Hujiten, and the Sa Tuangalo, Nubachibu Mares, Tochuatan, Pen Nubachibu Mare, Pen Tochujores, Pen Tan, and then Debashin Dutan, De La Suba to Sukangalo, and then Tochujun, Nubachibu Meber and the Grace, and then Hebatan, Nebatan. And two Chuasa, Hebas in the Carsando. In Chile.
Nupa.
Nuba Ledo.
Nupa,
Tuchuatan, Hebatan, Nubatan, Tuchua, or to made up of Melua.
Drabble.
Yeah. Tuchuatan, Jukashins. Tuchuasana.
Strength.
Kalajra strong.
Dene?
Two Chuatan, Jukashins, and they Jujilas to Seba in a Zubul Matrobachi, Nasa Chimwaya, Jukas with the Juna and Zubu de Yungro, Manjuna Nasa Yungro, Jukashin, and the Kalad Nasa Jene, Kalad Matrona Zubul Nasa Yungmarbe, Ne Jebe, Sentient Peche, and Tsemazebayan, Chawajuasa, and the Kala Matron and Nasachi Yodu, and the Tsemaze Kunshamarakan, and the Tuma Ibichoa, Jua Yungres, what the Sujebi, Dandit Teres, what the Kalichi Jujana.
So environmental effects, we find that there are environmental effects from virtuous actions and environmental effects from non-virtuous actions. So when we could say it's the place one's residing, and then also the external things. So for instance, right now we're in Middletown. So whatever place we're in, this is an environmental result. So it says from the non-virtuous action of killing, such things in the external environment as food and drink, medicine and fruits will have little strength, be ineffective, have little potency and power, or being difficult to digest, will induce illness. Hence, most living beings will die without living out their expected lifespans. So just as a note, we're speaking of a specific place within the realm. So previously, fruitional, we were speaking of creating the realms. When we're speaking of environmental, it's the environment in the realm, and the things in the environment in the realm. So just to make it clear, the way I'm translating. Here, the food that we're trying to use won't have power. The food that we're trying to use will be difficult to digest, and actually cause us illness. And then it says that the medicine and fruits and so forth won't have strength. They'll be ineffective. Will have little potency and power, etc. So these are all results, environmental results of killing.
This way.
The Suchupa Lapsar.
Sujubita Lama. Yeah. Sujubita, Majiba Levi Dabi Debo. That the Sukalo Nuata, Yedata, Tunduta, Murta, Hasan Lama Yeda, what is Sama Global, Janson Toshi Jebundua. And Niabakosu Global Chuka Jumarua, Dante Barbe. Neda to Global Chumia, Dabi Debimare, Malijiba Inayawate. So the Becha Lo. Okay. So here, the next environmental effects of stealing we have. So here, when we look at the environmental effects, these are the things within the realm and so forth that we are using. The actual realms themselves are created by the fruitional effect. So the environmental effect is referring to that. The things within the environment that are affected by these specific actions. So that's what the environmental effect is. These actions are creating this experience. So when I say affecting, it means like they're creating this experience. Okay, Dixon. Ta majibale bi dade to gandesna majibale bi dade den debu nywa ta sa an shin tu ta shin kha ga ta wo to sul de ta to yi tu debu nywa to yo me bare debu mo ro ba ta sa debu mo ro ba ta debu jo ta sa tombo pi ta bi na ya jema do cha shan
Roa.
Debu Roa, Debu Roa, Debu Roa dance. Then the Temba Chewa, and the heart, very hard balance. Temba Chewa dance, Chababa, Chababochina, don't do no. And then Debu Gambatan, Mabar Joa, what there, Majiba Levi done the thing, but.
So the environmental effects of stealing is the next section. The environmental effects of stealing are that you will have few fruits. The fruits that you will have will not be perfect, will change, or will be partially spoiled. There will be severe droughts or torrential downpours. So it will be a very hot place and with torrential downpours. The fruits will dry up or disappear. The environmental effect, okay, that's it. So the fruits will dry up or disappear. So this is the environmental effects of stealing.
Ta loyi go dande to di ma loyi je ne sha je dan sa ane dan za sha je dan za je dan ma sang wa dan zheng wa mo wa dan nyang wa dan ane nyang ma ga wa wo sa ta ga ja wa de loyi ge Dabi Debut Shanji Danson to Susu Desa Tubala, Shanji Kimba the Tuba Moysa, Jagago to Sundabu Mendua. Shanji dance, Jen Dan, Shanji Dan, Danza, Salemba, or Tenemo, Jen Dan, the Matawata, Trengawata, Tamakati, Mawata, Nyangawata. Nyang awata nyamagawa nyangawa yang san ma san de and do the mendo nyangawata nyamaga what de loyigi what de dande de sungo sare
So sexual misconduct is the next category. The environmental effects of sexual misconduct are living where there is excrement and urine, mud, filth. So here it's living in an environment that's very unclean, that's very dirty, that's filthy. Unclean things, many bad smells. This is evil smells. The word is really just a very bad, like a terrible. Terrible is probably many terrible smells, misery and discomfort. So all of these things are environmental effects of sexual misconduct. The environmental effects of lying are that any work that you do in fields or in boats, so in cornfields or you're doing any kind of work in the sea, so this is just a labor that you would do in fields or in boats, will not flourish, will not be successful. There will be no harmony among your workers, and for the most part they will be deceitful, and you will be fearful and have many causes to be afraid. Bari Buri. Okay. The environmental effects of divisive speech are that you will be in a place that is bumpy, craggy, uneven, and difficult to traverse, and you will be fearful and have many causes to be afraid. So Rinpoche just said, read it, it's not very difficult. To me. Not to give any, he's not giving commentary. Okay. The environmental effects of offensive speech are that you will be born in a place that is full of logs, thorns, large rocks, sharp stones, many broken bricks, that lacks waterfalls, lakes, or ponds, is rough, drab, arid, salty, barren, vile, and is a place of dangerous animals. So this is the result of harsh words, offensive speech. Lesso. Okay. So, and you will have many causes to be afraid. The environmental effects of senseless speech or gossip are that you will be in a place where fruit trees do not bear fruit. So you'll have a tree that doesn't have a result. Bear fruit at the wrong time, so the fruit might ripen in the winter. Or bear no fruit at the proper time. The unripened appear to be ripe, the roots are not strong. the tree does not last long. There are not many comforts such as parks, groves, and pools, and you will have many reasons to be afraid.
다 나센지 다비르브네 평소소바 당제 로르당 뒤치당 다와당 샤르르양 냐시 네 릴라 표메바당스 어데 나센게 다소소 사야통하다 신도들 칼렌디네 메바 찬데 이사데 나센게 어데 단데레스 뇌센제네 뇌센게 단데네 양다 너바 당사 다 양스는 나사그리지로 식 식네 양다 너바 당사 다 너바시 너바 나그 너바 오마무 용그레스 아니 내고와 당스 네 나사 내고와든 나사 찌질로라도 랑도에 내고와 당사 되네 초바다 파르제 마술레 초롱마와 당스 다 로발 마주한다 두순이 살아보다 초롱마와다 생거당 달라소바 생기 너바 다근 제바 도르당 디바당 생지 뭐뭐와 생지 뭐뭐와 생지 뭐 내지 도바당 총콩라소바 마와당사 내지 도바당 뜻은 jen magosa chira chimdo senji mus senji mache mo senji mus karsan
Sandra
or
Okay. The environmental effects of covetousness that are all excellent things will deteriorate and diminish every year, every season, each month, even each day, and will not increase. The environmental effects of malice is that you will be born where there are epidemics, injury, infectious diseases, quarrels, and many disputes with opponents, armies, lions, tigers, and the like, poisonous snakes, scorpions, and many fireflies, and harmful yaksas, robbers, and the like. The luta logo injike.
Ora luta nhaji jidena jongkong chuda zu da nobara joa da ngobo mazang wa da donghe wa da chudo zangwa dewa sangwa da ne da juba da jome ba joa wo so de lu shan di sa.
The environmental effects of wrong views are that you will be in an environment where the best and principal sources of resources will disappear, where unclean things will appear to be most pure, and misery will appear to be bliss, and where you will have no home, protector, or refuge. So that concludes the teaching. We'll do the concluding Tsar. Okay, we'll do that. That concludes the teaching, and we'll do the concluding mandala offering and dedication. So we've gone over now the black actions and their results section. So next we get into the white actions and their results. So we can look at some of the smaller lamrims as well, and then texts such as liberation in the palm of your hand. And it'll be good to do so. Look at some of the smaller lamrims and look at liberation in the palm of your hand and so forth. There are many different other lamrims. The great treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment was made the Jayan Sheva Pandita Kalikapo. So the great treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment really requires Jamyan Sheva's commentary to understand. Without Jamyan Sheva's commentary, it's really very difficult to truly understand the contents of the great treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment. And Shamar Pandita's text is also very good. Concluding mandala offering and dedication prayer. The fundamental ground is scented with incense and strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the four continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha land and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure realm. I dedicate whatever virtues I have collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular the essential teachings of Venerable Losang Drapa to shine forever. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious Guru. I dedicate all this virtue to emulate the knowledge of the hero Manjushri and likewise Samantabhadra as well. with whatever dedication is praised as supreme by all the conquerors who traverse the 3 times, I also dedicate all my roots of virtue for the sake of auspicious deeds. In that pure land surrounded by snowy mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. All-powerful Avalokiteshvara Tenzin Gyatso, stay until samsara's end. I pray for the long life of the precious Khensur Wandak, upholder of scriptural and realizational doctrines, spiritual friend who trained extensively in the 5 great philosophical texts with exceptional wisdom and perseverance. Tuji Rinpoche Gutsi Shapi Denro Nam, Natsu Lamrim Chenmo Kangam Chiril Nam.